Hello everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to our first awakening talk. Awakening talk. Sounds so much fun, right? Spiritual awakenings, all the woo-woo stuff. I am opening the floor to everybody in here to let me know what's going on with your spiritual awakening, where you're at, what you're experiencing, what you're having difficulties with, what you've been experiencing up until now, what you've been having problems with. We can work through it together. That is the most exciting thing. So woohoo! So exciting. Okay, so for those of you who are new in the group and don't know me, my name is Trisha Schinkel. I am your awakening life coach from innerbuddha.ca. I am the founder and creator of this group and all of the good stuff, right? So, okay. I'm going to tell you this. I've been so anxious and so excited and so nervous and all of this stuff for this. And it's only because I haven't seen you guys for a month. It's been a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been kind of hibernating in my little cocoon and just playing with my daughter and hanging out with my family and just doing the human 3D stuff, right? So, yeah, I felt like something needed to change, something needed to progress and evolve in the group. And I felt that the energy readings, when they were good, there's still going to be messages. I actually have a message for you guys today as well. But I didn't feel like it was totally aligned with what I was wanting to do in this group and what I wanted to bring in. So, out of the blue, the idea of awakening talk came in and I was like, you know what? That sounds really good. It makes sense, right? So here we are. We're on our first episode. Hell yeah. So for those of you who would like to volunteer in this, I'm going to be bringing on people. We're going to be talking to people. We're going to be experiencing things that you're experiencing and sharing your experiences, because the thing is that I've been finding a lot of the times when I share authentically and vulnerable and being honest, a lot of people respond to that. And it's just because they are feeling it too. They just don't know how to put it into words. They just don't know how to articulate it, right? So if you want to volunteer, if you're one of my girls that want to jump on, put a hand emoji in the comments. Let me know that you want to come on and I'll invite you on. So we're going to get through all the announcements. We're going to go through all of this stuff. So since I'm not really doing a whole lot of card readings now in the group, I do have a card expert. We all have a card expert in this group. Her name is Elsie. She has her own YouTube channel. So if you wanted to get a card reading from her, her YouTube channel is called the 10 of Cups Tarot. And you can find that on YouTube. So yeah, that is number one. Number two, I do want to let you guys know that when you guys are coming on here, that I will be sharing these videos on YouTube. So that's for all of my viewers there as well. So again, it's just to share your story with somebody that may need to hear it, right? Because when you share something authentically about yourself, that touches somebody and then they can open up or recognize themselves in your story. And that is the most impactful thing. So when you are coming on, I want you to be as open and honest and vulnerable as you possibly can be. And if you need a little bit of warming up, that's totally fine too. We're going to have many more of these. I just want to kind of go over the expectations, right? So, and if you are watching on YouTube, of course, that would be the recording. So if you wanted to participate in these awakening talks, if you have something you want to share, if you want to kind of get something off your chest, come into the Facebook group. The link is going to be in the show notes. So go ahead and click that and you can participate the next time, and just look into the events tab at the top of the Facebook page and you can find out when the next one is. Okay. So let me see here. Okay. Ooh, I have a message for you. So this is something that I've been kind of experiencing myself and I've been tripping over. It's something that I get frustrated with really, really quickly. And I understand it, but I forget about it when I'm in the moment. So when you ask the universe for anything, if you want anything in life and you haven't had it yet, that's because there's something blocking you, right? There's something in the way, there could be some things in the way that need to be cleared in order for you to get to that point, right? So we forget this. We forget this hard. And I know I do. We forget this. We ask for something and we expect it to just come in, or it's going to come in a fancy la-di-da, bird singing, butterflies, rainbow kind of way, right? It's not going to. What's going to happen is all of the shit and the baggage and the crap that has been blocking you needs to be cleared first before you can get to that. So you can imagine what's going to happen when you ask for something bigger, right? When you ask for something more, what's going to happen is the universe is like, okay, good. So you're ready to work on this, this, and this. Makes sense? Is this touching anybody? Because the thing is that when you're asking for stuff, we just want to skip to the end. We want to get to it, but that's not how it works. So really what we're going to have to expect, and this is something that I had to learn the hard way, and I'm sure everyone does too, is that these things that we're asking, you're going to get them. The universe is ready to provide you with everything that you want. Everything. The only kicker is that we have to work through the junk to get through it. That's all. Just a simple little reminder for you. So yeah, it's really about understanding how the universe works so that it can work in your favor, right? And what you need to know right now is that we are being bombarded with high and low frequencies like no other. So the high frequencies are going to be coming in and lifting you up and you're going to feel really good. But then the low frequency is going to come in and going to bring up stuff that you're going to need to work through, right? These are things that you're going to have to be like, okay, it's time to deal with this. Let's face this and get rid of it so then you can move forward from it. And so these high and low frequencies, I don't know about you guys, but I know I've had 2 panic attacks, like crying, crazy hyperventilating panic attacks over the past couple of weeks, right? The energy has been crazy. But it also, if you think about it, we're coming up to the end of the year. We're in December of 2021. I don't even know where we are. And we're coming into 2022. So in order to move forward into a new year, into a new energy, into a new space, we again have to clear out all the junk that we've been carrying with us that doesn't belong. That's not going to suit us. That's not going to work with us, right? So I hope this is making sense. I hope this is hitting home. Just something to kind of think about, to notice, right? To be aware of. Now, is there any of my volunteers on? I want to know. I want to see your hands. I haven't seen any comments yet. I don't know. Let me know if you're here. Let me know if you want to come on. This only works if you guys step up and step through your fears and come on and talk about them. And then once you talk about them, they disappear. You work through it. You're like, oh, that's what that was. That's why I felt so weird about that, right? Something's going to break out. Something is going to click. Something is going to be able to move out of your way. Because you know what? Earlier, when I was thinking about this message that the universe was giving me, I kind of pictured it like there's this long string of yarn or whatever, and then there's all these beads on it, right? So there's all these beads. All the beads are all the like baggage and things that are getting in your way. And depending on how big or small they are, that's the stuff that you're going to have to work through, right? So you just want to kind of tune into where you're at. Be like, okay, I'm here. I want to get here. What's in my way? What's in the way of that, right? And allow yourself to be vulnerable and honest to yourself. You don't have to necessarily do that with everybody, but just be honest with yourself and say, hey, why not work through this? Why not allow myself to see it for what it really is, right? And check into that, tune into that. All right, so I am ready to bring anybody on. Who's my first volunteer? I know Elisa said you were wanting to come on. Let me see here. Don't really have anybody. I get it. It's maybe because it's the first time and you don't want to be the first person to jump on. I get it. It's okay. It's all good. All we're talking about, the theme, by the way, and I have it in the comments, but the theme is like, how do you know you're awakening? How do you know? How did you know? When you got to this place in your life, how did you realize that, oh my gosh, this is a spiritual awakening. This is me waking up. This is me finding myself. This is me diving deep and saying, okay, like I'm ready to move on and move forward out of this old energy. That's what we're really doing, right? We're moving from an old energy that was heavy, stagnant, and it wasn't really working. And that's why we're changing. That's why we're evolving. That's why we're ascending, going higher and letting go of everything, right? So, you know, I could sit here and talk all day if we have to. That is okay. Because, you know, I'll start and I'll talk about my awakening, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about how I realized that I was spiritually awakening. And then I will love to bring on anybody. Okay, so back in 2016, really. Oh, we have somebody jumping on. Good. Okay, so I will bring you on, and I'm going to kind of explain my story while I'm bringing you on. Okay, Amelia? All right, let's prove this. I'm excited. Okay, so back in 2016 is when I was having a really hard time in my life. And I wanted out. I wanted happiness. I wanted to find something that was going to take me far away from all of the pain and suffering that I was in at that time in my life. I had a lot of stuff that was coming up, right? And so it was basically my sister-in-law who said, why don't you learn Reiki? Why don't you go, and you would be really good at that, right? And so I did. I resisted it at first. I'm not going to resist it for sure. And it was not until the next year where I decided that I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go and learn Reiki and see what it's all about, right? Hello, Amelia. I'll quickly finish my story and then we'll get down to yours, okay?
No worries.
So it wasn't until my first level of Reiki that I was at this point, I was like, oh my gosh, like this, it was the most spiritual experience that I've ever had in my life, right? And I got to this point where I was like, I finally felt something that I was looking for. Amelia, you're sideways.
There we go.
That's okay. So yeah, so really it wasn't until then, like that was just a snowball. Like level 1, I did level 1 and level 2 Reiki right away, right? And then I brought in level 3 and crystals, and I started learning about all of the moon stuff, all of the, everything you could possibly think about was metaphysical. I was eating it up. And I think everyone can kind of relate to this, like you're hungry for knowledge. You're hungry for all of this stuff, right, Amelia?
Oh yeah.
Because I know you've gone through this too, right? So here, let's introduce Amelia. Go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Amelia here. Sorry, I thought that I didn't want to leave you hanging there, so I figured I would jump on. Oh, weird. Okay. It wouldn't show you my comments for some reason. That was strange.
I don't know if it's your camera. It's hard to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Is that better?
Way better. Cool.
All right. So I'm Amelia. I met Trisha actually online. We met in person like, I don't know, like a couple months ago. I cut her hair. So she's been a big influence for me and my awakening. I kind of didn't really know what was going on. I thought I was losing my mind, which a lot of people will feel that way, right? Because your awakening isn't like, it's just, it's
no,
crazy.
You need the to make it stable, right?
So, I mean, Trisha's been a huge help. I look up to her and what she does, and I hope that I can eventually have a spiritual practice just like her. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any questions, I can answer them or whatever.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Okay.
So today's theme, again, is all about how do you know you're awakening. So we were kind of touching on, like, the pain points, because that's kind of where it starts, right? So what was some metaphysical things that came to you at the beginning? What was like your saving grace that kind of made you realize like, oh my God, like this, I need this in my life?
You know what? I think I started off with a rose quartz crystal. I'm just gonna plug my phone in so it doesn't die on you. I started off with a rose quartz crystal pendant, and then my collection grew and grew and grew. And then I started doing meditation before bedtime. It was strange. It was a strange thing because I didn't really know how to meditate or what I was even doing. I went to try a float. You know, have you ever been to a float? I could not relax for the life of me. I was like, hey, I have to come back when I can learn how to do this, right? So this was before my meditating. I was literally floating around in this tank, like, what the hell are you doing? Shut off your mind. Like, I just couldn't. So I started doing this meditation before I go to bed. It's like sleep meditation. By this guy named Dashi on YouTube. And it's all free. And he's got so many different ones to choose from, like depending on what you're dealing with, like in your life at the time, like trauma, pain, any of that stuff. So there's so many to choose from. And yeah, I just put that on before bed and just listen to that. And that's what started my awakening.
Yeah.
Was my subconscious was learning things while I was asleep.
That's just it. It's like, you know, you get to that point, you're like, oh crap, like it's almost like a breaking point, I think, really. You get to that, and there's many of them throughout every single stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was, you know what I mean? That was my first awakening.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said rose quartz was your first crystal, because that was what my sister-in-law gave to me when I first, like even before I was spiritual, because if you can believe it, before 2016, I was not spiritual at all.
Interesting. I started in 2017, right? So
it just like, boom, skyrocketed.
Crazy.
So yeah, she gave it to me, and I was like, okay, well, it felt good to hold it. And I'm like, she told me what it was for, and she told me what it was going to help me with. So conditional love, kind of start to bring in that feeling, right? And it's a lot of people that I've talked to, that was their first crystal too, which is kind of cool.
It's crazy because I just like pink, and I didn't even realize that, you know, this was going to be pink.
And then you snowball and you get like all these crystals. You're like, oh, I need this one, I need that one.
Oh, you should see my collection now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, eh? I bet. Yeah. I know. I got a whole basket full of them. They're just sitting there. And I lately, to be honest, I've been feeling the pull to pull them out because of the energies that have been coming through. Like I've got right here my little shungite.
Ooh, like it.
Oh man, it's shungite. If you don't know what it is, it's a really grounding, earthy kind of protective.
Isn't it like a metallic-y color?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a little shiny. Yeah, I don't know if you can kind of see.
Yeah.
I
think I have a little piece.
Yeah. And I just, the past couple days, not days, but weeks, I've been pulling out my crystals, kind of, you know what I did the other night was I took both selenite candles, or not candles, my selenite sticks that I had, right? Those little towers. And I would have one in each hand so that I could drain all of the negativity, all of the crazy energies out of my body at the end of the day, because it was getting to be too much. It was just these, like I was saying earlier, like these high frequencies and low frequencies, because we live in a duality universe, like we're going to have contrast. We're going to have light. We're going to have dark. We're going to have all of this stuff, but we forget about that in the heat of the moment. And we're like, oh crap, I don't know if I can do this. You know?
Well, with light comes dark, and the thing is that you couldn't have the light if it wasn't for the dark, and most people don't realize that.
I know, right? So that's why I'm having, exactly. That's why I'm having these talks. It's like, I think the best thing to do is to understand like where you're at and like what you've experienced. And it's just like, everybody is feeling this. Everybody is going through this. We all have our different ways of experiencing it, but this like circumstances and situations are different, but the meanings behind them are all pretty similar. It's just to grow, experience life, and expand from that, right?
I'm just hungry for knowledge all the time.
Right? And it's a two-way street with knowledge because you get a lot back from it, but you got to pay attention to when you're just trying to feed that hungry ghost inside, that empty hole, if you're just trying to feed that, or if you're expanding and learning.
Right.
Are you escaping or are you learning, right? And you could be doing both, but which one?
Do both. I have a son, let's be real.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And those are just things that I've noticed on my path too. Like when I was going, and I've read so many spiritual books in the past year, specifically the last year, and a lot were Dolores Cannon books. I don't know if anyone's ever read Dolores Cannon's work. It's a little advanced. It's a lot out there. It's going to open you up to higher levels of metaphysics, higher levels of understanding the universe in a way. So if you're ready for that, do it. If not, don't worry about it. You can start with Eckhart Tolle, right? You can start with the softer side of things, I would say. Are you having a hard time with your phone?
Yeah, I'm trying to hold it up here. Give me a second.
Okay, I'll get you a minute.
Because I have a glass table. Hold on here.
Okay.
There, that should work. Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
There. Okay. So you were talking about like what you're saving. It's funny that you went for the float and you could. I've had the same experience in the float.
I want to go back. I'm like so glad I didn't get to have the full experience because now I know how to meditate and it's just like, damn.
But that's okay. Like honestly, you're not going to get to that point right away. And that's
I had no idea what I was doing in that thing, and I was like, yeah, like, but at the same time, I really wanted that experience. From having fibromyalgia and being in chronic pain, I wanted to like kind of just disappear for a bit. So
yeah,
but it was just so hard to get out of my head. By the time I even attempted it, it was time for me to get out. So.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And I mean, it's okay. That's just where you're at.
It was practice.
Right now.
It was my practice.
Right. Yeah, and you can have hundreds of practices.
Oh yeah.
Because it took me a long time to get to that Zen spot, and I'm not always there all the time anyway. You think I might because I'm a spiritual teacher and I show up here and I talk about stuff, and I still have a lot of stuff.
I know you're still over there living your 3D life.
I'm still human, right? Right. Even though as spiritual as we are, as spiritually minded, and we try to get into that place, we're still human. We're still in this 3D experience, right? And that's just something comforting to know, is like, it's okay to feel that. It's okay to go through all that, right?
Absolutely.
So what would you say was that moment when you realized you were waking up? Like what was that for you?
I feel like it was kind of like a big slap in the face. Kind of, I feel like once you realize that everything you've been taught is kind of like not necessarily a lie, but like it doesn't even like serve you, some of the stuff that you've learned. And so basically you're having to kind of like untrain your brain of everything you've already learned and retrain it in a different way. And it's very different. Like my thoughts are different. Everything is just different.
What are some things that you thought that was true, and that like what were some things that had to change for you? Do you have an example?
Some things that had to change. People with their negativity, I had to cast them aside. If you're going to continue on your pity party, I can't be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing because I'm always like, oh yes, I'm here to help. And I am. I'm always going to be that one that's going to reach out and offer help. But at the same time, I need to help myself first, and that's a big thing. I'm putting myself first, which I didn't realize I needed to do all those years ago. So.
But that's the thing, we were never taught these things,
No.
Right? And we all come from a generation where, not all of us, I'm sure, like the millennials, I would say, are the ones that are such free thinkers, but we were taught to shut up, listen, and not be heard. And that's just kind of what we were taught. I know for me,
especially a woman, right? So
Yeah, and I mean that's just kind of what the expectation was for children. They had to be quiet. You know, if you were a loud, obnoxious kid, then you were misbehaving. You know, and it's just like they're just kids. They just have energy. They need to spend it on.
The city and the movie.
sorry, my son.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, he's telling me what it's whatever movie.
that's okay. But yeah, so I mean, really, it's just understanding where you're at, right? So, okay, so you had that place in your life that you had that awakening. What else would you say was some things that you feel you're being pulled towards right now?
I feel like I'm being pulled towards helping others kind of just like realize like their potential kind of thing, I guess. Which I've kind of always like kind of had like a mentor about me kind of thing, like where I help people become the best versions of themselves. But this time it's a little bit different because I'm doing it through like my spirituality. I'm doing it through showing how I've awakened and that they can kind of do it too. And it's just like my group is just growing and growing and growing, and it's crazy because like I don't know who's into it until I like kind of like think like, oh, I see something that they posted. Maybe they would like my group, right? So then I add them to the group and I'm like, okay, so that you're totally into this kind of stuff. That's neat. But you kind of have to pick and choose who you're going to add to these groups, right? Because not everyone's going to enjoy them or they're going to think you're crazy.
Oh, see, that's an interesting thought. That do you think that they're going to think that you're crazy? Is that something that you think about yourself?
Not necessarily, I guess. For the most part, it's just finding like-minded people, which I didn't realize there were so many of them. I guess I should say. Yeah.
There totally is. It's just spirituality is it was wrapped up in religion for too long, and now it's kind of separating itself. It's always kind of been in the background, but of course back in the 1700s, 1600s, even the 18 and 1900s, it was not something that could be in the forefront. Like we were not, this kind of conversation that we're having today would not be acceptable.
No, we would probably get burned
20 years
at the stake like witches.
Right? And that is a past life energy that you're bringing forward. This is your Akash bringing this in and reminding you, saying, hey, oh, remember last time that you talked about this? Well, people thought you were crazy and they're going to burn you at the stake. So we don't have that kind of repercussions, right, anymore, but your subconscious mind reminds you of that all the time. So you're gonna get stopped dead in your tracks a lot of the times when you're trying to move forward down your path, right? You're gonna get these things where like, oh, I don't know if I can do this because last time, and it's not gonna make logical sense to you because you're not gonna remember that exact lifetime. You're not gonna remember what happened.
Exactly.
All you're gonna remember is the residual energy that you're bringing forward into this lifetime, right? And it's just kind of recognizing, okay, so what is this right now? What is this fear? And it always comes up as fear, right? And you want to say, okay, well, this is a fear, but is this something that is
irrational fear?
Everything is irrational if you think of it.
The only real fear you should have in life is like, are you going to get eaten by a tiger? That's a real fear.
What is that?
On the phone, that is not a fear.
Yeah. But it's just stepping forward into that place that you want to be. So you want to be a spiritual mentor, you want to lead and help other people, right? That's that empathic part of you. But the thing is, like I was saying earlier before I brought you on, that you're going to ask the universe for something. It's like, okay, you're going to get it. You're getting it. But what comes with that is also all of the blocks that come in front of that before you have to deal with before you can have that thing on the silver platter.
Right.
Right. So it's
like a step process.
It is a process. It's a total process.
Step 1 of 100.
Yeah, and it's something that unfortunately we can't skip over, because I can tell you from personal past experience that I tried skipping forward. I tried to jump ahead, and I would rubber band myself every single time because it's going to want to bring you back, right?
Because there's something unfinished. Yeah.
Yeah. That is awesome. So how are you feeling about this right now? How are you feeling about being on camera and sharing your story?
I mean, I feel like I could have put some makeup on, but other than that, I'm good. And you know what? It's funny because you said that you're like, oh, nobody wants to be the first person, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm usually that first person. So
Yeah.
whatever. Just
Yeah.
someone's got to do it.
Exactly. Right. I wanted everybody to know that this is totally like just like having coffee with a friend, just like shooting the shit and just saying, hey, comparing notes and be like, this is my experience. What was your experience? Right. And be like, oh my God.
And
like
finding so many similarities between the two of them too is just insane. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And there's a hole in the head since what? I've maybe had you on Facebook for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's just it. So I just want to thank you so much for jumping on first and being the first person to kind of share and be open and vulnerable. And yeah, if anyone else that wants to come on, you are more than welcome to. So I'm not sure here. Well, I'll kind of put you back in the in the mix.
I'll say goodbye.
Let me see here. Okay.
I can probably can I just exit?
Yeah, I think you can exit.
Okay.
I'm pushing buttons here. All right. Thanks so much, Amelia. Awesome. Okay, good. So that, to be honest, was the first time I wrote anybody on. So that worked out not too bad. So that's just it. It's just talking about what's going on is to help you make sense of stuff. Because a lot of the times shit's not going to make sense. It's not. It's because the thing is, like I was mentioning to Amelia, sometimes that past life energy is coming forward. It's coming through our Kosh because we bring our Kosh with us in every single lifetime. We can access it at any point in time. We can also access good energies and bad energies, but the bad ones will come up when they get triggered. If something happens in your life, if something you're moving forward and there's a trigger there, it's going to release to remind you of something that you need to learn, right? So we do have time to bring one more person on. If you want to be that person, I would love to bring you on. So let me know. There is that little button you can push in the bottom of your screen that you can ask to be brought onto camera. I know I had some volunteers and I'm hoping that they can make it as well. I'll give you guys a couple minutes and shake off the energies, right? One thing I do want to mention about this next month, December, coming up, is it's going to be more intense. Just be mentally prepared and just understand that that message that I brought to you earlier today is when, you know, you do have stuff that there's going to be needed to be looked at, if not worked through. A lot of the times the work is just looking at it, is looking at the junk that you've been not wanting to deal with. And a lot of the times it's just the exercise of just looking at it and be willing to see it for what it really is can release it. It can, right? So we are talking all about awakening. We're talking about how you've experienced your awakening. What are some things that you've done in your awakening to kind of stabilize, to balance out your energies, because sometimes it can get kind of crazy and it's not an easy path. This is one of the hardest paths. If you are willing to go on your ascension path, if you are willing to awaken, to do that self kind of healing, that internal work, you're gonna get hit with all the things that need to be cleared, right? So it's not an easy thing. And people think, you know, there are those funny memes out there that people think that spirituality is all and being centered and balanced. But that's just like very tip of the iceberg, and that is a very skewed look, right? And it's just a matter of understanding, like, you picked a hard path, but the reason that you picked the hard path is because it's going to have the most amount of growth. That's the thing, right? And so I just want to commend everybody in this group, everybody watching these videos, everybody that has something to share, that you're doing the hard stuff and you're making it through, right? So, okay, we have Amber. Oh, Amber, hello, honey. Yes, of course, I would love to bring you on. Let's do this. I'm so excited. Bringing it on. Adding. Okay. It might take a minute. I've got the adding thing, but I think, Amber, you have to hit something on your side. Forgive me, this is my first time doing lives and bringing people on Facebook. So I'm a little green at it, but it says you're adding. Maybe you have to accept it. I'll have to think of something to talk about in between these when we're adding people. No answer. Oh no, Amber, are you not ready to come on yet? Did you get the invite? I saw that you hit it. Let me know. I don't have declined it. Oh no. Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. If you're not ready to come on, that's cool. So yeah, I mean, really just this is kind of what these awakening talks are all about, right? Just coming on, talking about stuff, understanding your life through a different perspective. That I feel is what really helps. Oh, Amber, I'm trying to accept. I won't accept. Ah! Okay, I'm going to do it again. How about that? Amber, I'm going to add you. I'm going to send the invite. These parts of the videos, guys, I'm sorry. Maybe it's the second time around because I tried doing it twice with Amelia and it took a little bit. Ah! Woohoo! Second time. Awesome.
Would not accept the lawyer.
I know, I was like just talking, rambling, filling the dead air. How are you, Amber?
I'm doing good. Let me go inside. The fountains are on.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I am back and I'm back on video and feeling pretty good. So I want to know about you. What's been going on with you? Let the group know. First, we'll introduce you, kind of tell a little bit about who you are and where you're from and all that stuff.
I am Amber, and I'm 44 years old, and I'm from Arizona. I used to live in California, and I started my spiritual awakening back in 2017. It happened one night while I was sitting on the beach. I felt very, very weird, and then I felt God channel right through me and spoke. I didn't remember anything afterwards. My husband had to tell me what I had said. I did know it was genius. That was what I had told him. I said, all I know is what I just said is genius. And my son was feeling suicidal at the time, who was 16, 17 years old. And it was basically a message to stop worrying so much about the rules and worry about my relationship with my son. And just worry about the relationship with my son. And then over the next 9 days, I didn't eat, drink, or sleep. And wow. I got biblical interpretation, understanding the Bible and what the apple represented, because before I was like, that's dumb. Why would it be an apple? What the heck does that represent? And it was basically sin can appear beautiful. It can appear delicious. That's why it's so dark tempting. It doesn't come in ugly form. It's beautiful and delicious. But if you don't listen to God, you're going to suffer the consequences, and it goes for generations, just like the apple. And it was just a really, really deep understanding of why basically we need to live a spiritual life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's amazing, but also mind blowing, especially because were you really spiritual before that?
I didn't even believe in God, but weirdly enough, I went to church every week because I wanted my kids to make the decision if they wanted God in their life. I was I'm not sure if there's God, but I'm not sure there's not a God. And I didn't want to neglect my children from having the opportunity. Plus, we really liked the church. We really liked the people, the connection, the opportunities, and we really liked the environment of it all. But I absolutely believed in God after 2017, 100%. And then I started having angels speak to me. and so many synchronicities and coincidences and mind-blowingness of the synchronicities, and like just things that can't happen anywhere. And I've had
Yeah,
more than I can even count.
that's amazing. I love that because it's and you hear about spiritual awakenings and you hear stories about like that, right? You're like, you have that one fleeting moment and something boom happens and you're like, what the hell was that? But not everybody has that experience, right? A lot of people just have these kind of little small moments and it's small and progressive, and they don't even realize that they're awakening until one day they just stop and they look back. If you compare yourself from right now to a year ago, I bet you this year alone, you probably grew the most that you've ever grown in your entire life. Would you agree with that?
This or 2017, but they are really, really close, but absolutely.
Yeah.
This is probably the most growth. It seemed like a lot of growth in 2017 because it was all brand new. So it was just
Mhm.
more, but this was at a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you find that you're being pulled to certain things, like certain experiences that you want to have now, or certain things that you want to do?
I'm seeing that God is forcing me right now to be a creator. I've always kind of
Hmm.
really easy in life, and right now things have kind of stopped, and I can see God wants me to create for myself, and kind of stubborn, but I'm seeing
What?
how just like I'm having, because my marriage has always been kind of my husband making things better and
Mm,
teaching me the lesson of I'm having to participate in the making it better and being vulnerable now. And it's hard. It's hard.
yeah.
I'm having to let go of a lot of pain. But it's made a lot of difference because he started believing in God in 2017 because he was there when it had happened. So he couldn't
How
deny
could you not? Right.
he was there. And he was just like, and then he
Yeah.
had his own experience as well. And weirdly
Yeah.
enough, I had gone to a spiritual person, and she had said she wanted to remove a block off my back, and she removed it for my husband. I had honestly heard from my husband and didn't mention anything about it. And 2 days later, he's like, Amber, it's the weirdest thing. He's like, it's like writer's block was removed from me, and all of a sudden I can write songs. He's like, I've written 3 of them in 2 days. He had never written one prior. I went back to
Huh.
her. I was like, was the block for my husband or from my husband? And she's like, for. You two are connected as one, so I can remove it for him. And I was like, you removed writing block because all of a sudden he can write songs, and he's got like 25 plus songs, and they're all weirdly enough Christian rap. Nobody expected, but they're really, really good. And one of them's about my spiritual awakening. And
I'm getting chills down my left side right now. Like, this is crazy. That is so cool. Like, honestly, that's just what happens when you kind of surrender to this process and you're like, okay, well, I know something's happening. Half the time, you're never going to know what it actually is until it happens. And then you look at retrospectively later and you're like, oh, that's what that was for. Right. But
I,
it's awesome that we can have this conversation now and you can kind of share that because somebody's going to see this and see themselves in your story, and that's what this is all about, and I love it so much. So what would you say now that you're kind of awakening, you've had a few years in this, where do you see your awakening taking you? Where do you want to go next year?
I would like to be doing what you do.
What's stopping you?
I feel blocked right now. I feel like I'm not where I want to be currently. I feel like I carry too much pain right
Mhm.
now. And I think that's holding me back. And I've been told that 2022 is going to be my year, and this is the end of it. And I'm hoping that's why I'm feeling it so heavy. And
Mm-hmm. That's just it. And like I was saying before, I don't know if you were on the live at the beginning, but what the message is that I was told to share with everybody from my guys is that right now is like, because not only is the end of the year, we have December 21st portal coming up. And that portal is a big, huge portal of energies that's going to be coming in and allowing us to manifest basically anything we want. So whenever we come into December 21st of every year, there's always this energetic portal that you can amplify whatever energies that you're holding. So if you're holding that sadness, that grief, and walking into that day and not willing to put it down, that's what's going to amplify, right? But if you walk into that day and you allow yourself to feel the feels, go with it and surrender to it, allow yourself to admit, like, this is what I'm carrying, and then drop it, and then allow yourself to rise, allow yourself to be in joy, even if it's just for a few minutes, that's what's going to amplify, right? And so right now we're getting bombarded with high frequencies and low frequencies. And because we live in this dualistic universe, that we are going to have contrast. You have to experience what you don't like in order to find out what you do like, right?
I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
I now know, because I've heard that before, and I recognize that recently, and I'm like, the more you experience what you don't like, the more you know exactly what you do want.
Exactly. It's giving you clarity, if anything, right? And we don't always see it that, because when we're living it, it's not as fun and easy to say, oh, this is contrast. No, you want to just rip your hair out and cry and scream and all of this stuff, right? So that's honestly what has helped me find comfort in all of my pain and my suffering. And I've dealt with a lot of that, and I'm still in therapy right now. I still have my coach, I still have my therapist. You know what I mean? Like, you have to kind of almost build that community of help that you need to get you through the humps, right? And that's, I think, why I personally was able to just skyrocket from where I was to where I'm now, is because I gave myself the opportunity to surrender to all that pain and just be okay with it. It's there. It's serving a purpose. There's something there for you. So just be like, okay, it's okay to have this right now, because we're human. If you didn't feel anything, you wouldn't be human. Okay.
And I wouldn't want it if I didn't feel anything either, because I have taken medication years and years and years ago that
Mhm.
keeps me numb, and I didn't feel anything, and I despised that a lot worse than even what pain felt for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it gets too chaotic, I've been there too. I've been on the highest dose I could possibly be on my antidepressants. And that got me to the point of contrast to understand that I didn't want that. That's not what I wanted. So I made a choice, and I took myself off of it a little too fast. I had to detox myself really quickly. And that's when I just surrendered to it. And I fight. That's the thing, is I go back and forth all the time. I'm surrendering, and then I'm resisting it. I'm fighting it hard. But that's just it. That's just the path that we're on. We all chose, we may not realize this, but we did choose this path, whether consciously or subconsciously. I believe that we've all have contracts before coming into this life, that there's certain pinpoints in our lives that we set up on purpose to trigger these things in our awakening, right? So for you, it was sitting on that beach that day. And then there's going to be, it may not be big monumental things, but I bet you could probably look back and count all of the amazing things that may not have been so amazing in the moment. But if you look back at it now, you're like, I'm so thankful that heartache happened. I'm so thankful for that pain and suffering, because it taught me this, that, and the other thing, right?
I can
I love
pain is the quickest teacher.
it. It is. That's what we kind of came here for. We just forget that all the time, and we're like, no, I don't want it. No, that's just it. You came here for it.
The universe does try to teach you gently, and you're like, yeah. And then it gets more curious.
Well, yeah, because you're not listening. It's like, hello, like, shake you, wake up, hello. Some of us need that. Some of us learn the hard way.
It's pretty insane how much quicker karma comes to life the more conscious you get, the more aware that you are, how much stronger karma is. And I'm like, like I didn't know all that before when I was unaware. Like, things didn't always go wrong. And I'm like, every single time. And I'm like,
what is some karma things that you've noticed recently in your life?
negative thoughts this week, and me being stubborn, and I'm also carrying a lot of guilt for feeling as much pain as I do right now, almost like shame. And I know why I shouldn't. I know I should just accept where I'm at, but I'm not. And this week I I was sick to my stomach and throwing up from pain in my back because I had a knot that like was making my back grind every single time I moved. And then
Mm.
I also broke my toe this week as well. And it's just like I spill milk and I just will do all kinds of different things. Like, and when I'm in like my positive, like I'm in the high vibration and I'm just
Yeah.
thinking good thoughts about everybody, being in a state of thankfulness, gratefulness, all of that, nothing goes wrong for me. I don't
Right.
accidentally knock everything over and make a dump the dog food and the whole lid falls off. Like it comes
And then
in
you're
so
like,
many,
that's a big mess.
comes in so many ways for me. And I'm just like, thank God this is what's happening. Thank God this is all that's happening because it could be worse. I always
Yeah.
thank the universe that it's not worse.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I think we all kind of need that reminder, like, A, we picked this. B, we came here. There's no point in being human if we're completely perfect. You know what I mean? And I think that we forget that all the time. And we want that perfection because for some reason it's got in our head that we could possibly be like that. And maybe in another realm, in another dimension, once we, after this generation, I'm sure there's going to be higher dimensions and the higher energies that we can pull from. But right now, this is where we're at. This is, and I think we have to kind of surrender to where we're at in this moment. And that's what's going to release you from the resistance that building the bad karma, building the bad thoughts, and just all of the things that kind of get in the way. But
living in a state of acceptance. Like that's what I need to practice is just accepting it already did happen. Like it doesn't matter how much I didn't want it to happen. It did happen. It already has happened. And I just need to accept it. And I have not. Quite a bit of suffering.
Well, but the thing is that you're aware of that. You know what I mean? So that personally is, I find, the first step of just going and transmuting it into a higher vibration, right? But it's just understanding the energy behind it. And that's the biggest thing is that I learned through Reiki is understanding what energy really is and understanding how to balance your energy. Because you can feel energy in your body. If you're an empath, you can feel somebody else's pain. Like if somebody's telling you a sad story, you're going to feel that pain, but it's understanding how to transmute it and change that into a higher frequency so that it's recycled, right?
I don't know how to do that. I don't even
know
what it means. And Reiki let your emotions flow through you. Let go of the past. And I'm like,
it sounds pretty, right?
I need steps. Like,
okay, I'm going to give you, let's do that right now. This is going to work for everybody that's watching this here and after. So I even made a video and I shared it in my YouTube channel. And it's all about just channeling energy through your body. Now, just because we're empaths, we are conduits. We are going to attract everything. That is what we do. We are almost like the cleansers of the earth, right? We don't realize it until we get overwhelmed. But what you do is just kind of notice in your body the energy. If there's anything that you don't like or you don't feel like it belongs to you, you can channel that energy, locate it, and just kind of like fill it with white light. That's what I start with. It's all visual. It's all third eye. You want to fill it with light, bring that down, and then channel it out through your feet. The energy comes in through the left side of your body, and it leaves your body on the right. So when you are channeling energies that don't belong to you, that you've been picking up through the day, if you've been hanging around people that don't have good energy, you're going to pick up on that, right? So you're going to pull the energy up through your left side of your body from the ground. You're going to pull the earth energy up, and it's going to go up all your legs and all up through the left side of your body, come over the top of your head and come back down your right side of your body. And it's going to go down the right side of your leg and out your right foot. That is the circuit.
that does feel different. You could feel that.
Yeah, it's like we're electric circuits. That's it. That's just it. Is we're magnetized to this earth. That's why there's gravity. But yeah, just understanding how energy works, just those little bits is a game changer. Total game changer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on. All right. So yeah, this is awakening talk. This is just it. This is what we're going to be doing for the next little bit. I don't know how long. I did the energy readings for about 1.5 years. And I now, just to let everybody know that's watching, of course, it is going to be monthly. I'm not going to overdo myself. So I'm going to be posting in the events page, letting everybody know when the next one is in the next week or so. But yeah, it's just basically coming on, talking, sharing, doing little energy work. Maybe that's something that we need to do in each and every single segment to kind of clear out the energy and start anew again, right?
This was fantastic. Please do this again.
Absolutely.
The last one that you did, that was awesome. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know.
This is exactly what people want, because you can just get your questions in. That's nice.
Yeah, I know. And I found that like talking to people through the messenger while I'm on live is okay, but it's not a quick form of, you know, communication. It's not very well, and I'm waiting for them to answer. And I'm like, no, we're going to start bringing people on. Let's just do this, right? And see what happens. So, like I said earlier, that I will be posting these on YouTube as well. So if you have somebody, because the Facebook group is private, you can always invite your friends. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can always share the video from the YouTube page and see if it will help them in where they're at, you know?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, that is it for me today. And I am going to sign off. And I want to thank Amelia and Amber for coming on today and sharing your stories. Namaste. Take care. Bye-bye.